again, as a South African now, who recognizes Africa and South Africa's relationship with the West, with the United States, and the good, bad, and ugly, right? And then also values the relationship with Israel. One of the cases that I make in my piece was I contrasted Israel's approach in terms of its cultural issues, right? Whether it's LGBTQ rights, gay marriage, type of thing, and juxtaposed it to the White House, both the Obama and the Biden White House. And one of the cases that I made to someone is that Africans generally, you tell me if I'm right about this, respect and honor the fact that Israel respects them. That Israel says, this is what we do, this is what South Africa does, this is what Kenya does, boom. Whereas the White House is like, look, we, imperialism, we do this and you're going to do this. Say something to that about us. How, is that correct in that assessment in terms of a general African feeling as they assess those different approaches?
It is very accurate. I do think that it's important that we, from the get-go, acknowledge the fact that nobody is saying that Israel doesn't want something back from African countries as it enters into these trade relations, as well as various cultural relationships. Of course, if you're going to have a relationship with somebody, you want it to be a two-way street. That two-way street, however, should not come at the expense of demanding that the other party becomes who you dictate that they need to be. And that's not what's happening with Israel. So Israel's saying, yes, let's have a mutually beneficial relationship. And like, Africa, what are you bringing to the table? Rightfully so, because there's value add that Africa can give. It also shows cases of confidence in Africa's ability to contribute. But then Israel's not saying, okay, we only want to engage with you if you're going to do this, and it's going to be contrary to your values. It's going to be contrary to the ethos and the core of your identity, the moral fabric of your society. The White House has actually been doing this for decades. Pastor Dumisani, when I was reading your article earlier today, I was actually reminded of a book that I read several years ago. I would encourage anybody who also wants to see the various avenues that the West, including the White House, has been engaging in cultural imperialism, and some people even talk about it as being a new form of neo-colonialism. A fantastic advocate for life who's Nigerian. She's affectionately known as Uju. She wrote a book called Target Africa several years ago. And in that, she unpacks how the West's agenda with regards to the sanctity of life and tearing that apart in the African continent has destroyed many African homes. And it's contrary to our values. I mean, when there is an announcement in African villages and African homes traditionally that there is a child being born, the entire village rejoices. But because of the pressure for the West, and if you want to have trade and if you want to have access to this grant, then you have to have contraceptives like family planning, right? So family planning is now killing our families. So they've been doing this for years, and abortion is there, and they're happy with how they've done it and how widespread abortion has become in terms of access of abortion has become in the African continent, and even changing the psyche as to what it looks like, that life is no more celebrated as such, and the sanctity of marriage. So there's like these different avenues where they're wanting to say, we want to dictate it on our terms and broadly in terms of African life. And Africans about time are starting to say, actually, no. And we'll look to people who aren't demanding that we change and that we give up our values for who we are. And if I may add, this is looking down on us as if we are these primitive, backward thinking, unevolved society or civilization because we won't do it on the West terms. It's like, no. So yes, we're going to engage with the Israels of the world. And even though I think there's a cost to it that we need to unpack further, we are seeing people wanting to engage more and more with the Russias that are saying, you know what, you do you. We just want your resources. We want to engage. They're like, fine. At least you're not trying to change us. China, you do you. We're not trying to change you. Iran, you do you, even though there's negative consequences in the long run.